Most Americans think omega-3 comes from salmon, fish oil, or another expensive bottle in the supplement aisle. But honestly, some of the most powerful plant sources are easier to grow than people realize, and one of them, a leaf most people in the U.S. barely notice next to sushi, may completely change how you think about health, aging, and what's actually worth spending money on. Omega-3 has become something people in the U.S. keep buying in bottles fish oil, capsules, powders, thinking that's the only real option. Some of the most powerful sources aren't in the supplement aisle at all. One of these plants is something you've probably seen next to sushi and completely ignored, and by the end of this video, it might change how you think about spending money on health and what you could be growing instead. Purslane, the weed you might already have. Honestly, this one catches people off guard, because purslane doesn't look like a superfood. It looks like something you'd pull out of your backyard or ignore growing along the edge of a raised bed. In hotter parts of the U.S., it just shows up. Dry soil, cracks in the ground, neglected corners, it doesn't really care. What most people treat like a weed has actually been shown to contain unusually high levels of omega-3 for a leafy plant. And once you see that, it's hard to unsee it, because suddenly, it's not just something messy in your garden. It's something useful, something edible, something that was already growing without you trying. Purslane is incredibly low maintenance. It handles heat, poor soil, and inconsistent watering better than most plants people intentionally grow. So whether you have a backyard, a raised bed, or just a couple of containers on a patio, this is one of the easiest entry points. A lot of people are spending money on greens powders, specialty blends, or superfood mixes every single month. But for that same money, you could set up a few simple containers and have something that keeps growing back. That's a very different relationship with food. In many parts of the world, purslane has been eaten for generations. It was never considered a problem plant, it was just food. Now modern nutrition is starting to catch up and explain why. And in a U.S. context, it's surprisingly easy to use. You can toss it into salads, mix it into eggs, add it to wraps, or treat it like a slightly tangy green somewhere between spinach and arugula. Chia, familiar, but still underestimated. Because unlike purslane, chia isn't unfamiliar. Most Americans have seen it maybe in a smoothie, a yogurt bowl, or one of those overnight chia puddings. It feels like a health food. Something you pick up at Whole Foods or add to a recipe when you're trying to eat better. Even though people recognize chia, they usually underestimate it, because it's often treated like an add-on, not a foundation. In reality, it's been used as a core food for centuries, and modern research has shown it can support things like blood sugar balance, heart health, and inflammation-related processes. So this isn't just a trendy ingredient, it's something with real staying power. And this is where it gets interesting for people in the U.S., because chia sits right in the middle between something you buy and something you could grow. In the right climate, or even in a warm season container setup, it's possible to grow it yourself. And once you start thinking like that, the mindset shifts again. Instead of constantly buying small amounts at premium prices, you start thinking in terms of supply, storage, and long-term use. You could keep buying packaged health foods every month. Or you could start building something that actually supports you over time. And that leads to a bigger question. If these two plants alone can already change how you see omega-3, what happens when the story gets bigger? A weed in your backyard, a seed you already recognize. But now we're stepping into something bigger. Hemp. More than just a seed, a U.S. story. Hemp is one of those plants almost everyone in America has heard of, but very few people actually understand. Some people associate it with controversy. Some think of it as a niche health product. Others just see it as something trendy on packaging. But here's the thing, hemp isn't just a health food. It's a plant with a long agricultural history and a really strong nutritional profile. because hemp seeds naturally contain a balance of fatty acids that people are constantly trying to recreate with supplements. What people are paying for in processed products already exists in a simple seed. Now think about how that plays out in real life. You go to a store, and you see specialized oils, blends, powders, each one marketed as a solution. But many of those are just trying to isolate or replicate something that's already complete in whole foods like hemp. Hemp also carries a bigger story in the U.S. It used to be part of everyday agriculture. Then it disappeared from normal use for decades, and now it's slowly coming back into the conversation. So when you look at hemp, you're not just looking at nutrition, you're looking at how perception, policy, and culture can shape what people think is normal to eat. And once you see that, it changes how you look at everything else. Because now, the question isn't just what's healthy, it becomes what have we overlooked? Sasha Inchi, the one most Americans never hear about. Because most people in the U.S. have never even heard the name Sasha Inchi. It sounds distant, almost like something you'd only find in a specialty store. This isn't just an exotic plant for novelty, it's another example of a nutrient-dense seed that's been used for generations long before modern wellness trends existed. Different regions of the world have been using different plants, but many of them point in the same direction: whole, natural sources that don't need heavy processing. Now, for most American viewers, this one might feel less practical to grow right away. It shows that omega-3 isn't limited to one source or even one region, and it highlights something important. In the U.S., when something like this appears, it often shows up as a premium product, an oil, a supplement, a specialty item with a higher price tag. But when you zoom out, it's still just a plant, a seed, a food that existed long before it became a product. And that realization builds pressure for what comes next. Because if all of this is true, if multiple plants across different cultures already offer what people are trying to buy in bottles, then the real question becomes, what's the strongest one of all? And this is where everything comes together. And this is where it all comes together. Because this next plant doesn't just add to the list, it changes how you see the entire conversation. Most people in the U.S. have seen it without really noticing it. If you've ever eaten at a Japanese or Korean restaurant, you've probably had it sitting right there on the plate next to sushi, under sashimi, or served alongside grilled meat. It's called shiso or perilla, and honestly, most people treat it like garnish, something decorative, something optional. It's not just garnish, it's what you'd call a functional herb, a plant that's been used for both food and health for generations. Because research shows perilla contains omega-3 along with compounds like rosmarinic acid, known for anti-inflammatory and antioxidant support. So suddenly, that extra leaf on the plate isn't extra at all. Perilla is one of the most practical plants in this entire video. It grows fast, it adapts easily, and in the right conditions, it can reseed itself and come back year after year. Which means you don't have to keep buying it. You could spend $100 on supplements, oils, or health products that run out in a few weeks, or you could take that same $100, walk into Home Depot or a local garden center, grab a few containers, some soil, and seeds, and start growing something that keeps producing. That's a completely different model, because now you're not relying on a product, you're building a source, and this isn't some new trend. In Japan and Korea, plants like perilla have been used for generations daily, consistently, without needing to be marketed as superfoods. That matters, because it shows this wasn't discovered recently. It was just never framed this way for you. And now, modern science is starting to catch up explaining why these traditions worked all along. And in a U.S. lifestyle, it fits surprisingly well. You can grow it in a backyard bed, a raised planter, even a simple container on a sunny patio. And once you have it, you start using it. Wrap it with grilled meat. Add it to rice bowls. Layer it into sandwiches. Mix it into fresh herb salads. It stops being something foreign and starts becoming part of your everyday food, and this is the moment where everything clicks. Because now it's not just about omega-3 anymore. It's about realizing some of the most useful plants were never missing. They were just overlooked. But here's the bigger takeaway. This isn't just about omega-3. It's about how most people have been taught to think about health in the first place. In the US, the default model is simple. If you need something, you buy it. Low energy, buy a supplement. Heart health, buy another one. Inflammation. There's a product for that too. And over time, it becomes normal to spend money every month just trying to maintain your baseline. But what most people don't realize is there's another way to think about it. Not as something you constantly purchase, but as something you can partly build. Because once you've seen plants like purslane, chia, hemp, sacha inchi, and especially perilla, the pattern becomes hard to ignore. These aren't rare pharmaceutical compounds. They're plants. Some grow fast, some grow easily. Some come back on their own. And this is where it shifts. Instead of asking, what should I buy next? You start asking, what could I grow once that keeps giving back? And financially, that's a completely different equation. Instead of spending $50 or $100 every month, you make a one-time investment soil, seeds, a few containers, and that system starts producing. Not instantly, not perfectly, but consistently, and that consistency is what changes everything, because now you're not just consuming health, you're participating in it. And it doesn't require a farm. It could be a small backyard corner, a raised bed next to a fence, a couple of buckets on a patio, even a sunny balcony outside your kitchen. And this is where it gets interesting again. Because once you experience that shift, even on a small scale, it becomes harder to go back to the idea that everything has to come from a bottle. So when you step back and look at it, most Americans were taught a very simple equation. Omega-3 equals fish oil. Health equals something you buy. But now you've seen a different version of that story. You've seen plants that grow in backyards, on patios, in containers, some familiar, some overlooked, some completely unexpected. And the point isn't that you should never buy anything again. It's that you now have another option, one that's slower but more sustainable, simpler but more grounded, and in many cases, a lot more cost-effective over time. You don't need to overhaul your entire life. You just need to start looking at your space differently. Where that corner of your backyard, that empty container on your patio, that spot by your kitchen door, that might be where your next health upgrade actually starts. So here's a simple question. Which one of these would you actually try growing first? Would it be something easy like purslane, something familiar like chia, or something more surprising like perilla? Let me know in the comments. And if you're interested in more plants that support your health and actually make sense to grow at home, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.